So I'm going to answer the question between the Artisan Hien and the Artisan Zero, which one might be right for you? Before I do that though, think about your mouse pad, right? Your mouse pad has probably seen some stuff. At the very least, it's probably seen caffeinated cans, half empty all over, encroaching in its space, maybe on top of it. I don't know. I don't know you. Cheetos, probably Cheeto dust. Again, maybe on top of it, maybe just all over its space. I mean, we all went through a war zone phase, right? After a divorce. Maybe that was just me, but whatever. But you know how it goes, right? You make some really bad decisions and you start playing games until like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. and the mouse pad suffers. So then you get a little bit older and you start thinking, I need to settle down. I need to get like a mouse pad that I'm going to treat a little better, maybe not use as a coaster, like a huge coaster. And so, yeah, I think at that point you go to Reddit and you say, hey, between the Artisan Hien and the Artisan Zero, which mouse pad should I get? And then Reddit doesn't really give you an answer, right? They say, no, don't get that. Get the Saturn Pro, get the Vaxi EE51279. No, you need to go to this site that is not in the continental Earth, and you need to see this mouse pad made out of ice. But so anyway, I see this question asked over and over and over, right? Which one, right? Should I get the Hien or the Zero? And so when I did this, I don't know, it must have been a couple years ago when I first went through this process and started, just moving away from a QCK onto something a little bit more, a little bit more serious. I couldn't make a decision based on what people were saying online. I didn't really understand. I bought both the Hien and the Zero, and yeah, I'll show you. Here they are, and they can be cleaned, which is super nice, right? Like you still get obviously a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, right? You still get some of your like tracks from when you're playing, but they can be cleaned really easily. I don't know, whatever. But so I want to show you just a little head-to-head with the mouse and talk about it, because I think what I was missing was just understanding what does it feel like, right? Everything's a little bit nebulous when you're just reading random stuff on the internet, and for just like regular like competitive but not super competitive, what should I get? So let's take a look. Let me move my water cup out of the way. My phone, and yeah, even the keyboard there. First, I'll drop down the Artisan Zero. It's got some wear over here. That's okay. So the main deal with the Artisan Zero, this is extra soft, by the way. And so extra soft just means it's thicker. It has a thicker base. Like I can push into this a couple of millimeters and you feel it, right? Like you can indent in a little bit. And what that allows you to do, if you're so inclined, is push your mouse down a little bit into it and get some grip. Compared to a standard mouse pad that you might be using, this is, I think, gonna feel a little bit quicker. The X and the Y axis are not exactly the same, right? I think the Y is a little bit slower than the X, but regardless, you're gonna feel it. Do the spin test. You can see, the mouse spins out pretty easily, but it still feels quick. But it also feels like you have control over it, right? So let's put down the Hien. There we go. Again, some use, as you can see here. The Hien, this is medium, so it's quite a bit thinner than the Zero. If I pull in the Zero for comparison, oh, it's just black on black, so that should work really well. But yeah, it's a lot thinner, being the medium, and so if this were extra soft, it wouldn't be nearly as hard feeling, right? So this doesn't have much give. Besides that, there's the grain, right? There's the feeling of grain, which is pretty impossible to explain. But so I'm not a hard pad user at all, and this feels a little faster when you start it, right? My initial reaction was to turn down my DPI, but I left it where it's at, and eventually I got used to it. And there's just something magic about the way the, you know, for lack of a better term, grain feels, because when you're playing, right, you can make the quick flicks and it feels faster than you know, other sort of generic pads, but it stops really nicely, right? It just stops. So between the two, I've used this one. This has become my daily driver. So if you're specifically looking between Artisan products and you want something on the slower side, a bit more control-y, you know, I think your two choices are going to be the Hien and the Zero. You're going to see some advocates for both. Folks coming from standard pads are going to feel pretty at home with the Zero, but it's in my mind, a significant upgrade. It does feel, besides just like the premium like make of the mouse pad, like mine has no fraying on the Hien or the Zero through multiple washings over multiple years, right? I've gone through so many other just, you know, when I say cheap, like $10 less mouse pads that just die after 6 months, right? So I think these really are nice. But if you're between the two, you also have choices like softness of each pad, and it just sort of complicates things. So I like the idea of going with the medium Hien to try, because it gives you the Hien, but it feels a bit more different than the softer Zero. The softer Zero is definitely gonna feel more control paddy, and the Hien medium is gonna feel a little bit faster. But you get the sense then of, just if you try both, you'll see that the Hien, while it feels faster, if you get used to it and don't change your DPI, you just feel like a lot more control in games, at least for me, right? I'm not evolved enough to move on to a harder pad yet, maybe one of these days. But right now, it's just, I'm out of control with them, right? I just can't do it. But for me, the Hien is really nice if you want to feel that. I know some people have complained about it like rubbing on your wrist, because it has the texture on top, right? Which is the unique factor. If that bothers you, probably throw away the mouse, and I don't know, start using the pen, the gaming pen. Some people talk about the Hien bothering their wrists because it rubs on the grain. I never had that problem, and I'm very much pain intolerant. Like, you can't find anyone like wussier than me. So if you do hear people talk about that, they must have like brittle skin, or maybe they're lacking skin here to begin with, because I don't know how that possibly happens. But it's a thing, I guess. If you are just like if you're rubbing on your mouse pad with your wrist all day, and maybe you're not even using a mouse, you're just rubbing the mouse pad, maybe then it would be an issue. But other than that, not sure how that happens. So yeah, hopefully this has been super informative. Important decisions you can make in life, and so I hope you spend some time thinking about it before you move forward. It's really the price of 3 or 4 Whoppers. So, well, in that context, maybe get the Whoppers. Oh, you know what? That must be Jane. That must be Jane over there. Wow, Jane is always lethargic, so this is no surprise. Oh, I would turn my head, but then, you know, you would see potential male pattern baldness. I'm not gonna do that. But you can see her. There she is. Hey, Jane. Nope, not moving. But she's alive, I promise.